For some reason, it feels like Lemaire is the only fashion brand that can get it right. Countless brands, high street or luxury, have raised the banner of basics with a twist. It's so overplayed and cliched that it's already cringe. Whatever comes out the other end is exactly what you expected, including the twist. But why? Why are Christophe Lemaire and Sarah-Linh Tran the only ones that can make something normal and yet exciting, like the croissant bag that is now displayed front and center in every single fashion store that carries it? In my previous videos on Lemaire, I covered the details of what Lemaire made, but how about what they didn't make? 𝗖𝗵𝗽𝗀𝗂𝗿𝘀 once walked out of an interview, saying her absence speaks louder than her presence. Curiously, there's a lot of things absent in Lemaire, like how you never see distressed denim, or blazer jackets with flap pockets. It's funny, if you go into any fashion store, high or low, you're bound to see ripped jeans or a standard business suit, and yet it's missing here. How about cargo pants? Wide cargos have been incredibly trendy for a few years now. You see them all over the street. Hell, even 𝗖𝗵𝗽𝗀 is putting out cargos. Lemaire has not. Or how about Gore-Tex? Lemaire has never made a Gorp core jacket. The closest thing you'll get is a military-style jacket with water-resistant cotton, and instead of a waterproof zip, you get a old-fashioned button placket. In the 21st century, where even luxury brands are pumping out clothing-shaped objects full of plastic, Lemaire is sticking with cotton. While Lemaire will still use synthetics, they only use it when it's appropriate for the garment being made, like for a bomber jacket. And even then, sometimes they just won't, like how they used cotton for the parachute jacket earlier. True to 𝗂𝗪𝗂𝗏, a clearer picture is emerging in the space left by the absences. A lot of fashion brands today feel like an all-you-can-eat buffet. You want indie sleaze? Here you go. You want quiet luxury? We've got something for that too. You want Gorp core? Well, we have that covered as well. To all of that, Lemaire is casting a vote of absence. All you fellow Lemaire heads know that their shows aren't full of radically new pieces. You mostly get the same shapes, same silhouettes, same materials, year after year. In Christophe's own words, I am interested in style more than fashion, timelessness more than trends, quality in simplicity. This concern with timelessness is actually rooted in 𝗖𝗵𝗽𝗀. As I mentioned in my previous video on why 𝗖𝗵𝗽𝗀 is the only timeless designer, 𝗖𝗵𝗽's core looks have persisted for over 50 years. They are relevant from the 1980s to right now. And the way 𝗖𝗵𝗽𝗀 has accomplished this is by looking into the past. Similarly, Lemaire shares that fascination with timeless, historical clothing, the workwear and military details, the refusal to use ultra-modern waterproof synthetics in favor of good old-fashioned cotton. Many people do think that timelessness is boring, but if you're here watching this video, you'll probably think a bit differently. Not submitting to the rat race of trends is precisely what lends power to Lemaire's design, which, by the way, isn't boring at all. The people who really understand fashion, those who are actually in the industry or following the industry, they all know Lemaire's clothes actually has a ton of personality. And just like 𝗖𝗵𝗽𝗀, it's all hidden in the details. The shape of the collars, the kimono references, or most famously the twisted pants, with the curved barrel silhouette and seam going down the front. This was already a mainstay in Lemaire's collection for many years before it was noticed and adopted by the mass fashion brands. And just a little bit of trivia for you, this piece also came from history. The source is Levi's Red Line from the 2000s, but it is most definitely not a perfect recreation of history. As Christophe puts it, the problem with that vision of timeless fashion is it can become boring. As much as I believe in timeless fashion, I also believe in newness and evolution. Christophe isn't only looking for something historical and timeless, but he's also trying to pervert a little bit the archetypes, looking for the obvious and special at the same time. Like 𝗖𝗵𝗽𝗀, he also has a rebellious edge. We talked about bomber jackets earlier in the video, but have you noticed something off? The stereotypical bomber jacket, the 𝗵𝗽𝗀𝗏, is missing. These bomber jackets are undoubtedly historical shapes, just never the 𝗵𝗽𝗀. And here's another bit of trivia for you. The one you saw earlier is actually a US Navy WEP jacket, a much less common bomber jacket, one that was never a trend. In fashion, everyone has their spyglasses trained on the horizon. Whatever trend flows downstream, every brand is immediately racing to be the first to grab it. As soon as Lemaire's twisted denim started gaining traction, everyone is now making the same thing. They're all afraid of being left behind, clutching a garment whose only and final destination is the premium outlets. So more or less everyone has the same new exciting designs. It's exactly what you expect, because it's the exact same thing you've been seeing all over your Instagram feed. And as Christophe proves, once you step out of the blinding spotlight of trend, there is a whole world of history and culture to reshape into something actually new and exciting. So why is it that this approach feels so rare in today's sea of designer brands? Well, that's because the issue runs much deeper. The fashion industry is no longer about artistic innovation or craftsmanship. It's about money, as much as possible, as fast as possible. The logic of big business has eaten up fashion. That sense of speed is all pervasive in fashion now. It used to be the trend tsunami swept everything away every 6 months. Then it became every 3 months with the pre- and resort collections. This was something that bothered Christophe greatly. He says that if you want to increase sales, you need to offer products as early in the season as possible. And being caught up in that whirlwind, he also has insights on why it came to be. Some powerful company must have realized that the earlier they could deliver to stores, the more they would sell. If you deliver your collection in March, as we used to, you have 2 months to sell it before the sale starts. If you deliver in January, you have twice as long. So in the fashion retail world, there's one KPI that looms large over every designer: sell-through rate. What percent of your collection is sold at full price? If you fall behind the pack on your sell-through, you'll be dropped by the store buyers. Delivering your pre-spring collection in January becomes an advantage, a literal head start. But there's a problem. That pace is absolutely unsustainable. For a designer, a collection is started an entire year before they're presented, starting from research, developing fabrics, sketching, cutting, draping, ordering samples, and then putting together a whole ass show at the end. If this takes a year and you're doing 4 collections, men's, women's, spring, summer, fall, winter, you're doing this 4 times in parallel. Now imagine cramming pre-spring, pre-fall, and resort into it all. Imagine what would happen if you're working on a freaking 32 collections a year. That was a destination for Galliano and McQueen in the 2000s, and it drove these designers to drug abuse and self-destruction. For Lee McQueen, it was his final destination. KPIs have no feelings. 𝗖𝗵𝗽𝗀𝗂𝗿𝘀 often talks about how much pain and anguish she goes through every single season to make something she's satisfied with. Any artist knows how hard it is to make just a single piece of art good, much less 32. So what do? The boss is on your ass and you must deliver. You have to hire your own army of junior designers whose work you rubber stamp your name on. But that still isn't enough. You don't know whether it would sell and hit your KPI targets. So you turn to the mercenary guns of the trend forecasters, who tell you exactly what to make. They have the crystal ball to tell you exactly what will sell. Also because they're serving everyone the same dish. You can shove a trend down everyone's throats by smearing it all over Paris Fashion Week all at once. This is exactly why all the luxury brands shows look absolutely interchangeable. They're all made by the same algorithmic process, sometimes by the same design teams using the same trend forecasting firms. Christophe says, if you want to endure as a designer today, you have to be business savvy. But I'm also aware that when fashion becomes all about business, about profits, it loses the ability to really affect change. And it's not like Lemaire completely ignores trends. Lemaire started putting out Western wear pieces in their Fall 24 collection, around the same time everyone else did. I have no doubt they enlist the services of the same trend and color forecasting firms. But Lemaire isn't bound to them because they are not subservient to trends and KPIs. In 2014, Christophe admitted he had to give in and create pre-collections. But he didn't give up. In 2019, men's and women's were united into a single collection. By 2021, the pre-collection was abolished. Lemaire now has a mere 2 runway shows a year: spring, summer, fall, winter, period. Unfortunately, outside in the broader fashion world, things only got worse. The breakneck pace of a new collection every 3 months wasn't enough. The interval has now shortened to every week with Zara, and now every single second with Shein's algorithmic fashion. But the clothing brands aren't the only ones to blame. The media has a hand in it too. Well, at least Christophe thinks so.
Now the fashion system is like keep on pushing. Maybe media is helping to deliver. So you think who has the biggest responsibility on that?
I think it's just the whole consumerism society, which is becoming crazy. I think it doesn't make people happy. But fashion, yeah, is the idea that it's all about spectacle. And I don't mind spectacle in fashion. I think we need strong images. But when it's only about impressing and create and make noise to exist in the media, I think we lose the real point.
It is related to the internet generations of things too.
Maybe, yeah. It's going too fast. Today we want to kill time.
But when it's only about impressing and making noise to exist in the media, I think we lose the real points. It's funny, you open any major fashion magazine or website, and guess what you'll find? Celebrity, cosmetics, perfumes. Where the hell are the goddamn clothes? Even for Fashion Week coverage, the one event showcasing all the blood and tears the designer has spent a whole year on, all you'll find in the news is who sat in front row next to who. Why won't people talk about the goddamn clothes? Or the non-stop collaboration madness, some of which sounds like a gorilla just picked two random names out of a hat, then some poor junior designer had to summon that miserable object into existence with a straight face. All that media noise serves one purpose, and that isn't to sell you clothing. In fact, the clothes are completely irrelevant. The goal is to hijack your attention, to imprint an image on you, and then use that image of luxury or coolness to sell you overpriced logo hoodies, overpriced logo handbags, and overpriced perfumes. And you end up with, in Christophe's words, a media ecosystem where we are constantly overinformed, and there's a certain pressure to say to people that if you want to be cool, it has to be that way. If you're not like this or this other trend, then you're off. Christophe outright said that this is a disaster. Having your value measured by whether you have the hottest shoe or hottest bag, all of dubious quality. I'm not sure if you caught it, but there is one important word Christophe mentioned in a clip earlier. He uses this word in almost every single interview. The word is spectacle. Christophe and Sarah-Linh often mention questioning the spectacle and distancing themselves from the spectacle. This is a very loaded word with plenty of meaning behind it, as Christophe is very explicitly referring to Debord's very famous 1967 book, Society of the Spectacle. From Wikipedia, the spectacle is the inverted image of society in which relations between commodities have supplanted relations between people, in which passive identification with a spectacle supplants genuine activity. Like how front row celebrity gossip has eaten up all fashion discussion, or how everything is becoming an image, quite literally on Instagram. And by the way, here's a definition of commodity: a product or service that is indistinguishable from ones manufactured or provided by competing companies, and that therefore sells primarily on the basis of price rather than quality or style. Doesn't this ring a bell with the luxury garbage that is completely indistinguishable outside of the logo? Except ironically, they're competing on having the highest price, not the lowest. Curiously, a lot of this is absent with Lemaire. The logo merch, the front row celebrity jostle, the perfume line. Another statement you'll often see in interviews is Christophe and Sarah-Linh mentioning Lemaire is political. Not political as in the red team versus blue team TV sport in America. Political as holding power over how we dress and what we value. Christophe says, we are conditioned in our lives to be alienated from ourselves and be stimulated by stupid things for business reasons. We are alienated from what we should focus on. Real culture is everyday culture. What we eat, what we decide to do, what we decide to read, what we decide to wear. We have to free ourselves from the culture of stupidity. This is the true secret to why Lemaire can put out real creativity. They've removed themselves from the fashion spectacle and have earned creative freedom. And it's kind of ironic, the more you learn about fashion, the more you hear insiders talk about how bad it is right now. Like, it was never pretty, and you always had people like Ray or Yoji that were rebelling against the system. but things have only gotten worse. I think it's funny, when you actually open and read this 1960s book, Society of the Spectacle, you kind of realize that, wow, Debord, whatever he was saying, it's only become absolutely more correct now in the age of social media, where literally everything is becoming a spectacle. There's honestly so much more that explains why things have become this way. Not just Debord, but also Baudrillard, Marx. A lot of smart people have come up with very powerful ideas on why everything is so shit. This is a touchy topic, but I think you deserve to know and understand, since there are many naked kings at the top who will tell you everything has been absolutely the best it's been. We have to really understand why and how things are bad before we can start to fix it. So the next video will be simply about why fashion sucks right now. And that's it. Thank you for watching. 𝗵𝗽𝗻 out.